From showing historically inaccurate costumes to fans already hating the American Revolution storyline, here's why Outlander Season 7 will be the worst season yet. I hate to say it, guys, but if I were you, I wouldn't keep my hopes too high for Season 7, since there's a lot that could go wrong. For starters, the costumes have gotten horrible lately. Honestly, nobody can deny the fact that the costumes have taken a serious nosedive after Season 5. I mean, just look at the new promo photos for Season 7. Claire is literally wearing a button-down shirt. Now, I'm no scholar of historical clothing, but I seriously doubt that button-down shirts existed in the late 1700s. Let's not forget that Claire has always taken liberties with the way she dresses, but this one is a serious stretch. So, who's to blame for this inaccuracy? Well, turns out the original costume designer, Terry Dressbach, actually left after the end of Season 4. And that's why the show has struggled with its costumes. You really don't need me to tell you that Terry's costumes were always well thought out and mostly accurate to the time. But now, it's like the production no longer cares. I mean, the clothes haven't looked as nice as the first couple of seasons in a long time. Even the wigs have gone from bad to worse. And fans are just left wondering why isn't more effort being put into making them nicer. They've even started complaining that this inaccuracy takes away from the experience. And let me tell you guys, Season 7 doesn't look very promising either. Plus, don't even get me started on the sets. They've started to look so cheap lately. In Season 6, most of the furniture was so weirdly modern, and even its paint was so off and bright. If you take a second to compare the sets of Season 1 with Season 6, you'll immediately see the difference. Most fans seem to think that the hefty paychecks of the cast are making the production compromise on the sets, so they can make some sort of money from the show. But let's be real. The show has a huge budget, so all these changes make zero sense. It looks like the production team has gotten lazy now, which is really unfair to the fans, who have supported the show since Season 1. But you see, this isn't the only thing that's gonna make Season 7 a big disappointment. It's the fact that the producers have turned the characters into punching bags. Now, in almost every season, the Frasers are constantly surrounded by tragedy and heartbreak, with literally zero happy and calm moments in between. I mean, Claire ends up getting kidnapped or forcibly separated from Jamie all the time. And the two of them go through something so tragic that it leaves the viewers disturbed for a very long time. I mean, fans agree that the show doesn't need so many disturbing twists all the time. Not only that, but the producers really need to give it a rest with all the violent storylines. I mean, there's an overdose of that in every season now. Like Jamie and Fergus went through it in Season 1 and 2, then it happened again to young Ian. Even Brianna got attacked in Season 4, and you really don't need me to remind you about what happened to Claire in Season 5. It seems like trauma is the default choice for the writers of the show when it comes to complicating a character. And to be honest, fans are getting really exhausted of it. Plus, now that Claire is on trial after getting accused of murder, you best believe that things are about to get traumatic once again in Season 7. And let's be real, seeing the characters go through so much has just made the show super depressing, especially for the female viewers of the show. Nobody wants to see characters get brutalized all the time. One Reddit user wrote that she has to take long breaks after watching the show, just so her mental health doesn't get affected too much. Another one said that whenever he gets triggered by something bad happening to the main characters, he just turns the show off and closes his eyes for a minute to develop the patience to continue watching. Yikes. Yeah, it's safe to say that Outlander definitely isn't a comfort show. It's gotten to the point where viewers don't even care about the sweet moments between Claire and Jamie. According to fans who have read the book, An Echo in the Bone, Season 7 will be much more darker and upsetting. If this turns out to be true, then I'm pretty sure most viewers will end up ditching the show. Don't get me wrong, I love Outlander, but you've gotta admit that it's become quite a gut punch. The producers really need to let the characters catch a break. It's not a secret that most fans just tune in to see Jamie and Claire so in love with each other. So if they were to focus on their marriage a little bit, or show them spending some time with each other, trust me, nobody would be complaining about it. And if all of this wasn't enough, in the early reviews that have come out so far, Season 7 has been described as foolish. According to Decider, at one point in an episode, children can telepathically hear a gemstone sing. That's weird, right? There's also Jamie, who's been having vivid dreams about a telephone. Let's be honest, Outlander's become a bit ridiculous. Take the absence of the butterfly effect, for instance. Now, I get that the focus of the show is clearly on the love story between Jamie and Claire, and not the effects of time travel, but if you think about it, there's a lot missing in that area. For those of you who don't know, the butterfly effect is the idea that any small change in the past can cause huge consequences for the future. But when Claire tampers with the past, there's literally no change in the present. I get that the show isn't sci-fi, but still, this just makes things pretty unrealistic. And let's forget the butterfly effect for a minute. Just the fact that Claire often saves people who are supposed to die on a certain day should at least have some sort of effect, but nothing happens. Maybe this mystery has to do with the fact that everything was always meant to happen like this. Either way, the whole thing just makes your brain hurt. What's even more absurd is that nobody questions Claire's modern surgical skills. It's just weird that she openly does these modern operations in the middle of the 18th century, and nobody points out the fact that she performs techniques that haven't even been invented yet. Plus, most of the fans don't like the fact that the producers don't stick with the normal parts of the book. I'll admit that the show does it best, but skips over all the ordinary loving stuff that happens between Jamie and Claire in the books. Instead, they just pick out the most traumatizing storylines and make them all dramatic. Remember when Claire has to go back to the future because of the threat of the Battle of Culloden? In the books, the couple scar their initials on each other's hands, so that they have a physical reminder of each other. But in the series, Claire just leaves him with an amber rock, which just took away from the emotional moment, and fans weren't happy with the change at all. I get that the producers want to keep the story as interesting as possible, but honestly, it would have been better to stick to the books a little more. Like I said earlier, it's gotten to a point where the drama is just too much. But one thing that makes the fans hate the season more than any other is the American Revolution. Yep, viewers are already hating the direction Season 7 is going in. You see, most of them started watching the show because of the beautiful Scottish Highland. But now that the characters have moved away, fans feel less and less connected to the story. They just don't enjoy the colonial American aesthetic. Some of them have even said that they liked Jamie and Claire in France more than this. One Reddit user wrote that every single season feels like they're gearing up for the American Revolution, which isn't interesting at all. Another one talked about how he would have preferred that the couple stayed back in Scotland and dealt with smaller historical events happening there, instead of the stupid revolutionary thing. His words, not mine. Let's not forget that every hit season of the show took place in Scotland. Everything was perfect over there. And ever since they left, the characters have been dealing with one trauma after another. Most fans agree that Scotland is what's missing in the show right now. It's not like they aren't still interested in the characters or the plot, but if it was up to the fans, they would have definitely made sure that Jamie and Claire would end up having their happy ending in Scotland. So, there you have it. From fans already hating the American Revolution storyline, to showing historically inaccurate costumes, that was why Outlander Season 7 will be the worst season yet.